It is 4:30. We're ready to call the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Decatur, Indiana to order. Would like approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, please. Was distributed previously.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I haven't seen a record of notice of this meeting. Do we have one?
Yeah, it's
Is this a meeting that...
a notice, and where was it posted, Sharon?
At the library and also the courthouse.
And here at City Hall.
City Hall.
Okay, this is a notice that was not required to be published, but it was posted at the 3 locations that Sharon had indicated. Do I have a motion to make this a matter of record?
And it was posted at least 48 hours prior to the meeting today. Okay.
I make a motion to make that part of the record.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion, it's made a matter of record. At this point, the subject that we're going to be talking about this afternoon is Mark Gamble, acceptance and rejection of the agreement of restriction to special exception for home occupation. The attorney for the City of Decatur, Bob, is on the phone. I'll turn it over to him to make the presentation. Mr. Airman.
Good afternoon. As the board will recall, I think it was last February that the board went ahead and approved the initiation of litigation against Mr. Gamble for not, one, complying with the terms of him introduced by special exception, and also for expanding that use outside of the boundary of the previous approval. A lawsuit was filed, and Mr. Gamble did hire counsel, and an injunction hearing is currently scheduled for the next week, and let me just check my calendar. I believe it is it would be next Tuesday, so it'd be a week from tomorrow at 10 o'clock. But prior to that, we did go into settlement negotiations with Mr. Gamble, and essentially, after meeting with Mr. Gamble and his attorneys face-to-face, reached what we call is an agreed judgment. The agreed judgment basically is almost, I would say, is everything that we would have gotten had we prevailed on the injunction hearing. In particular, the agreed judgment limits the amount of customer vehicles that can be parked as part on the special exception real estate. It provides that there are no customer vehicles to be parked on 10th Street or any public street. And all of Mr. Gamble's personal vehicles are required to be parked at the owner's house or on a public street where parking is allowed. That he's not allowed any exterior storage, except for the fact that during the operations he is allowed to have 4 vehicles awaiting repair. When he closes down, those cars are to be moved to a permitted storage site, but they are not to be left out overnight. He is required to conduct all vehicle repairs inside the building, and then finally that there would be no parking or storing of customer vehicles on his personal real estate. With regard to the vacant lots that he owns on 10th Street, he has agreed to remove all of the vehicles and to bring those lots into compliance with the residential zoning district. So, essentially, that would next Tuesday. That is exactly what we would have gotten. What we did negotiate is he wanted 30 days to bring the real estate into compliance. We had offered 15, he wanted 30, and we felt that with Thanksgiving and everything else coming up, that 30 was appropriate, and as Kurt can tell you, since the last couple of months he has made a lot of progress of those lots.
Okay, that was fairly straightforward. Just to make sure we take care of some housekeeping. Seeing nobody in attendance, I still want to ask if there's somebody in attendance that wants to speak in opposition to this document. Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody who wants to speak in support of this document?
I think you all know my feelings as Mayor Ken, Bob. Yes, I totally support this. Thank you, Bob, for all the work and time you put into this.
And that was Mayor Ken Meyer of the City of Decatur, showing his support for the document. Do we have any comments from the City Attorney?
I will just reiterate, I agree with what Bob was able to work out. I think we got what we would have gotten had we gone to court. And I appreciate Bob's efforts to get us to this point. One question that I have, Bob, is we're required to give Mr. Gamble notice if he does violate this, but if we give him notice and he's got 15 days to remedy the situation he does, what happens if a month later he does the same thing and we have to give him notice? I mean, at some point, do we have the ability to revoke the special use exception then?
Yeah, and my opinion of this is like what we're talking about is if we have a situation where there's outdoor storage, we give it notice, he cleans it up, and then a week later the outdoor storage is back. The way I would interpret it is, look, it's not a cat and mouse game. If he's signed the agreed judgment, he knows what his obligations are. If he's in violation, and we give him written notice, and he cleans it up and then violates it again, then I think we're justified to go straight into court. I mean, I don't think the judges, it's like the old situation where somebody's a camper parked in their driveway and the association board says move it, they move it and return it back in 24 hours. So, I think while we're required to give him written notice of a violation, we're not required to give him several notices for the same violation.
And is it necessary to make sure that Brian Heck and Pat Hess make the Gambles fully aware of that so that we don't get into this cat and mouse situation?
I'm sorry, Tim, was that the question?
Would it be beneficial to make sure that you convey that to Pat and Brian so that they in turn can advise their clients that, look, you need to toe the line and we're going to be watching? Okay. In terms of going forward with the litigation, to me it makes no sense to incur the costs in the effort to comply with discovery requests. So by getting an agreed judgment, we basically get everything that we had hoped to get had we gone to court. There's no sense incurring additional expense in pursuing this. So my recommendation would be for the board to approve this and authorize Kurt and Greg to sign on behalf of the BZA and the Building and Planning Department.
All right, do we have any further questions from the board?
No.
No. Should I ask then for a vote on authorization from the board to sign this document?
Yeah. Motion to approve the agreed judgment authorization.
Part of that motion authorizing you to sign the agreed judgment on behalf of the BZA.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to ask Tim to reiterate that for
Okay,
us.
is there a motion to approve the agreed judgment as submitted and authorize Greg to sign on behalf of the Board of Zoning Appeals and authorize Kurt to sign on behalf of the Building and Planning Department?
All those in favor?
Is there a motion to that effect?
Look,
I'll make a motion that we do that.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Now you got it.
Now,
All those in favor?
aye.
It's unanimous. The motion as submitted by Tim Baker is approved for Greg Kitson and Kurt Whitty to sign the document as presented. Anything else for Mr. Airman?
Bob, is there anything else that you need? Okay. All right, thank you very much, Bob.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep, bye.
All right, it's ready for Kurt to sign.
Okay.
Good deal. I went by there today on the way over. It looks like it's been cleaned up some. He's still working on it.
I looked at
I'm
it
pretty disappointed.
2 weeks ago, and it was rearranged.
I'm pretty disappointed that it's drug on this long, and it kind of makes our job a little difficult to explain to the public.
Well, the problem is there's procedural due process. You can't just pull the plug on somebody without going through certain procedures.
And I think everybody deserves a second chance. If he's honest about this and is committed to it, then, you know, good luck to him.
I know that Bob communicated, because I asked him to, that, you know, our preference would be that Mr. Gamble find a more suitable place for his business. The type of business that he runs, the growth of his business, it would be far better for him to find a commercial location or an industrial location where he could conduct his business instead of in a residential neighborhood. So I know that message was communicated. Hopefully, Mr. Gamble will start looking around and try to find a more appropriate setting.
Well, you would think if he's that busy, he's going to have to find some place to put these vehicles.
Yeah.
Not in the neighborhood,
Right. You know,
on these other properties that he owns.
yep. So, we'll see. You know, time will tell whether or not this is the end of it or whether we need to take further enforcement action.
It's hopeful that he doesn't just buy adjoining properties and start to creep. Any old business that we need to deal with this evening? I have some old new business. One question would be, John Schultz, who's been with us for the past year, was recently successfully elected to Adams County Council, and I have a question as to whether he can continue to serve on this board with that county council election.
I'll find out, but I think my initial reaction is John probably has to resign at the time he takes his office as county council member. So,
Okay.
but I'll verify that.
And John's seat was, which seat, elected, appointed by the mayor?
Yeah, I believe it's going to find
I don't have that on my list.
His term is through, right now, it's supposed to be December 31st of 2020, and I'd have to find out who made that appointment. Was it?
It was the mayor?
Okay.
Okay.
So, it would be the mayor to fill that position, I believe, unless it's a BZA appointment. I'll have to look at that.
Check it.
Because it may be, there are some provisions, some boards, if there's a vacancy, it's the board itself that fills the vacancy as opposed to the original appointing body. But I'm not sure, and I'll have to find that out.
So, and then once,
Regardless, if any of you have any good suggestions, I'm always open to hearing them.
Okay.
And I think under the statute, there's supposed to be representation from both political parties. And I think you have to have at least 2 of a minority and 3 of a majority, so I'm assuming John probably was appointed as a Democrat, so it would most likely need to be somebody that's a registered Democrat to fill the position.
so,
I got a person in mind, Kenny, I'll ask him first and then let you know.
so will BZA
I'll
have
let you
to
know.
have another meeting
Well,
yet
he's
this
gonna
year
find out.
to deal with
Yeah, he's gonna
that?
find
Well, I think probably you probably ought to schedule a BZA meeting for the first meeting of the year and then just do the appointment at that time.
An organizational meeting is part of the January schedule.
Yeah, and you may have business anyway, but
Yes.
that would be the appropriate thing to do.
Okay, second item on my list addresses something that both Tim and Mr. Ehrman said about recovery of attorney fees amendment to the code. Our code currently doesn't allow the city to recover those fees. Mr. Baker.
That's going to require a council ordinance to establish that and amend the code, so I'll work on getting that prepared. So, I
Is it something where we need a recommendation or a request from this board?
I think that wouldn't hurt anything, but I think I would advise you to recommend that to the council, because otherwise, anytime we get into this kind of a situation, we incur expenses that we can't recover. And with that language in the code, it's not in the statute, but if it's in the code, then we have an argument to make before a court that says that the code authorizes the court to award those fees, and I would recommend that you include that language.
Any discussion or questions from the board on that subject? Do I hear a motion to make said motion? Or said recommendation?
To make that recommendation to council.
Whatever. Make that recommendation that we...
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of recommending to the city council that they make the amendment that Mr. Baker requested or suggested, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the recommendation to city council has been approved from the Board of Zoning Appeals. Any other new business?
And Greg, your position,
I have one more year on BZA.
okay. And then on Plan Commission, you are asking not to be reappointed.
Correct.
But you'll serve the remaining year of BZA.
I will serve the remaining year of BZA, yes.
Okay. All right.
So, anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.